Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This afternoon I have a good topic which is all about copper. Ito ay pwedeng copper bracelet.
Here, twisting this copper wire into a shape that I can shove up my nose. No, I haven't gone insane. Here's what it's all about. Came across this gizmo on the internet called copperzap, which suggested that putting a piece of copper, which is exactly what it is, up your nose is going to take care of various kind of microbes, including viruses. Well, before we dismiss this as total nonsense, let's take a bit of a look at the science behind this. Copper actually does have antimicrobial properties. If we go back about 4,000 years, the Smith Papyrus, found in Egypt, which documented medical therapies at that time, suggested using pieces of copper on battle wounds. The ancient Phoenicians took shavings from their bronze swords whenever they were injured and put those shavings on the wound, because empirically they had found that it would reduce the chance of infection. Of course, they didn't know anything about bacteria or viruses. They also learned that drinking from copper containers would lead to reduced risk of diarrhea. Well, today we understand why this is, because copper really does have antimicrobial properties. The surface of copper will react with oxygen to form copper oxide. In copper oxide, copper has a positive charge, and that positively charged copper can infiltrate biological molecules like proteins and DNA and inactivate them. So there is reason to believe that there might be something going on here. And also, when copper becomes a positive ion, it releases electrons. Those electrons can be picked up by oxygen to form something we call superoxide, and that has antiviral properties. So it's not totally outrageous to use copper as a disinfectant. In fact, in hospitals, they are now coating beds with copper. That is at least the frame of the bed, and IV poles, and the little tables that they push over your bed when you're in the hospital, because any microbe that lands on copper surface is not likely to survive a long time. We had an article in New England Journal of Medicine recently which showed that on a copper surface, the coronavirus will survive for only about 4 hours, whereas on paper and plastic and steel, it will survive for a much longer time. So it's interesting to look at copper in this fashion, and in fact, there are a number of manufacturers now who are making masks that have copper thread in them or copper nanoparticles, claiming that these have some sort of effect against the coronavirus, although they are very vague about what that effect may be. Should we go out and spend $50 to $70 for a mask that has copper in it? We do have evidence that if there's copper in the mask, the virus probably will not survive as long, but it will not impede the transfer of the virus through the mask, so it doesn't have any real filtering ability. However, any virus that lands on the surface of the mask is likely not to survive for as long as it would on a cloth mask. But in any case, when you're using cloth masks, you're cleaning them regularly. So until we have further evidence that it is worthwhile to invest a relatively large amount of money in one of these copper-infused masks, I think we can wait. I think it is important to wear any kind of mask when you go into a situation where there's a crowd, especially indoors, where the ventilation is somewhat questionable. So I'm not ready yet to take this and put it up my nose, although I would be saving a lot of money because the gizmo that I mentioned before is $70, although the last time I checked on their website, they seem to be completely out of it. People, I guess, have brought it up. So I've been also asked an interesting question in connection with copper, whether or not drinking a Moscow Mule, which you traditionally drink from a copper mug, if that is going to help ward off the coronavirus. No. There is going to be no warding off the virus by drinking Moscow Mule. Although it might make you feel a little bit better, but keep in mind though that alcohol is a known carcinogen. So you want to limit the amount of alcohol you drink, whether it's from a copper mug or from anything else. And just one final word here. I'm not going to shove this up my nose. What about using it as a copper bracelet? Because people have suggested that it reduces the chance of arthritic symptoms. Well, there's about as much evidence for that as for taking this thing and sticking it up my nose.